You had always been a fan of your eyes. Kureiji Ollie wanted to hang out with you? You quickly replied, agreeing to the plan. You spent the next few days planning and preparing. You wanted to make a good impression. When the day arrived, you dressed your best and headed to the cafe where you were meeting her. You were a bundle of nerves as you waited for her to arrive. What would you say? How would you act? Suddenly, you heard a cheerful voice behind you. Hey there, partner. Ready to have some fun? You turned around to see Kureiji Ollie standing there, grinning from ear to ear. She looked even more beautiful than you remembered. You spent the next few hours chatting and laughing together, enjoying each other's company. It was the best day of your life. Little did you know, this chance encounter with the Reaper idol would lead to an unforgettable adventure filled with danger, romance, and plenty of excitement. As you opened the door, the sound of the live music hit your ears. It was so loud, you could feel the vibrations on your skin. You hesitated for a moment, taking in the scene in front of you. The room was dark, the only light coming from the stage at the front. People were dancing, swaying to the beat of the music, while others were seated at the bar or scattered around the room, chatting and drinking. You made your way to the bar, the bartender immediately noticing you and asking what you wanted to drink. You hesitated for a moment, then ordered a simple cocktail. As you waited for your drink, you took a look around the room, trying to spot the Reaper idol. You had heard so much about her, and you were eager to see her in person. Suddenly, you felt someone tap your shoulder. You turned around, and your heart skipped a beat as you saw her. The Reaper idol was even more beautiful in person than in any photo or video you had seen of her. She was dressed in a black and white outfit, complete with a top hat and gloves. Her bright purple hair was styled in a pixie cut, and her eyes sparkled with mischief as she smiled at you. Hi there, she greeted you, her voice like music to your ears. I couldn't help but notice you were looking around for me. Did you come here just to see me? You felt your face flush with embarrassment. Yeah. I mean, I've heard a lot about you, and I really wanted to see you perform live. The Reaper idol chuckled. Well, you're in luck. I'm performing here tonight, and I'd be happy to have you in the audience. Why don't you come backstage after the show and we can chat some more? Your heart leapt at the invitation. You could hardly believe your luck. Thank you so much. I'd love to. The Reaper idol smiled again and turned to leave. I'll see you after the show then. Enjoy the music. As she walked away, you felt a thrill of excitement run through you. This was the chance of a lifetime, and you were determined to make the most of it. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. You watched the Reaper idol perform, mesmerized by her talent and charisma. She moved across the stage with a grace and energy that was impossible to ignore. Every note she sang was pure magic, and you could feel the emotion in every word. When the show ended, you made your way backstage as quickly as you could, eager to talk to her again. As you approached her dressing room, your heart began to race. You felt a little nervous, not sure what to say or how to act. But then the door opened, and the Reaper idol stood before you, her eyes shining with warmth and welcome. "Hey there," she said, smiling at you. "Did you enjoy the show?" You nodded, unable to speak for a moment. Finally, you found your voice. "It was amazing. You're incredible." The Reaper idol laughed. "Thank you. That's so sweet of you to say. So, what brings you here tonight?" You took a deep breath, trying to steady your nerves. "Honestly, I just really wanted to meet you. I'd been a fan for a long time, and I never thought I'd actually get to talk to you in person." The Reaper idol's expression softened. "That's so kind of you. I'm glad you came to see me tonight. Is there anything you want to ask me or talk about?" You hesitated for a moment, then blurted out the question that had. A few minutes passed before you finally calmed down and your breathing returned to normal. You stood up, dusting off your clothes and fixing your hair. Just as you were about to continue on your way, you heard a soft chuckle behind you. "You seem to be in quite a rush, my dear," a deep voice said. You turned around to see a tall man with long silver hair and piercing blue eyes standing behind you. He wore a black suit and tie, and a silver chain hung around his neck. Yeah," you replied, feeling a little uneasy under his intense gaze. "I just, needed to get somewhere quickly." The man chuckled again, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "I can see that. But perhaps you could spare a moment to chat with me? My name is Grimm, and I'm the owner of the Reaper Idol Agency." Your heart skipped a beat at the mention of the agency. You had heard of the Reaper Idols before, a group of talented performers who sang about death and the afterlife. They were known for their striking looks and powerful voices, but also for their mysterious aura. "Reaper Idols?" you repeated, your eyes widening. "I've heard of them, but I didn't realize they were real." Grimm smiled. "Oh, they're very real. And I think you might be interested in meeting one of them in particular." He gestured towards a sleek black limousine parked on the side of the street. "Would you care to join me for a ride? I promise it won't take long." You hesitated for a moment, unsure if you wanted to get involved with such a strange man and his even stranger agency. But the thought of meeting a Reaper idol was too intriguing to resist. "All right," you said, your curiosity getting the better of you. "I'll come with you." Grimm grinned and opened the door to the limousine, gesturing for you to enter. You climbed in, and he followed, closing the door behind him. The interior of the car was plush and comfortable, with leather seats and a mini bar. Grimm poured you a glass of champagne and sat down across from you. "So, my dear, tell me a little about yourself. What brings you to this part of town?" You sipped your champagne, feeling a little nervous under Grimm's intense scrutiny. "I'm just here to visit a friend. I don't come to this part of town very often." Grimm nodded, taking a sip of his own drink. "I see. And what do you do for a living?" You hesitated for a moment, unsure if you wanted to reveal your true profession to this stranger. But something about his calm demeanor and soothing voice made you feel comfortable. "I'm a writer," you said finally. "I mostly do freelance work." Grimm smiled. "How interesting. What kind of writing do you do?" You talked for a while longer, discussing your writing and your favorite authors. Grimm was a good listener, nodding and asking questions at all the right moments. He seemed genuinely interested in what you had to say, which made you feel valued and respected. After a while, the limousine slowed to a stop in front of a large building. Grimm opened the door and gestured for you to follow him out. "Here we are," he said, indicating the building. "The Reaper Idol Agency. Are you ready to meet your idol?" Your heart raced as you followed Grimm into the building. You had no idea what to expect, but you couldn't shake the feeling. It was then that you noticed a group of girls gathering near the entrance of the building. They were all dressed in colorful outfits with glowing accessories, and they seemed to be excited about something. You asked one of the staff members what was going on, and they told you that it was a concert featuring a popular idol group known as the Reaper Idols. As you made your way through the crowd, you caught a glimpse of the lead singer of the group. She had long purple hair and striking red eyes, and you couldn't help but be mesmerized by her beauty. You had never heard of this group before, but you knew that you had to see more of them. You managed to get a ticket to the concert, and you were in awe as you watched the Reaper Idols perform on stage. Their music was electrifying, and their dance moves were captivating. But it was the lead singer who stole the show. She had an incredible stage presence and a voice that could move mountains. After the concert, you found yourself wanting to know more about the Reaper Idols. You did some research and found out that they were a group of Reapers who had decided to form a music group in order to help bridge the gap between the living and the dead. You became a fan of the Reaper Idols and started attending their concerts whenever you could. You even joined their fan club and got to meet some of the members. But you never got the chance to meet the lead singer, who seemed to be shrouded in mystery. One day, you were walking through the park when you saw someone sitting alone on a bench. As you got closer, you realized that it was the lead singer of the Reaper Idols. She looked sad and distant, and you could tell that something was bothering her. You approached her cautiously and introduced yourself. She looked up at you with her piercing red eyes and gave you a small smile. You couldn't believe your luck. You were finally face to face with the woman who had captured your heart. You sat down next to her and struck up a conversation. She was hesitant at first, but soon she opened up to you. She told you about her life as a Reaper and the challenges she faced in trying to bridge the gap between the living and the dead. You listened intently as she spoke, hanging on her every word. It was then that you realized that you were falling in love with her. But you knew that a relationship between a human and a Reaper was impossible. As the sun began to set, the lead singer of the Reaper Idols got up to leave. You watched as she walked away, feeling a sense of longing in your heart. You knew that you would never be able to forget her, no matter how hard you tried. But you also knew that you had to let her go. As you watched Ollie disappear into the distance, you couldn't help but feel a sense of longing. You had only just met her, but she had already made such an impression on you. You wondered if you would ever see her again. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. You found yourself thinking about Ollie more and more, and you couldn't shake the feeling that you were meant to see her again. You started attending more concerts and events, hoping to catch a glimpse of her. One day, as you were walking down the street, you saw a familiar figure walking towards you. It was Ollie. She smiled when she saw you and walked up to you. "Hey, it's good to see you again," she said. You couldn't believe your luck. You spent the day with Ollie, talking and laughing and exploring the city together. As the sun began to set, you knew that you didn't want the day to end. "Hey, do you want to grab dinner together?" you asked. Ollie's eyes lit up. "I would love that." You took Ollie to your favorite restaurant, and the two of you talked for hours. You couldn't believe how easy it was to talk to her. It felt like you had known each other for years. As the night drew to a close, you walked Ollie back to her hotel. You didn't want the night to end, but you knew that you had to say goodbye. "I had a really great time tonight," you said. "Me too," Ollie replied. You both stood there for a moment, unsure of what to do next. Then, without warning, Ollie leaned in and kissed you. The kiss was soft and sweet, but it was enough to send a jolt of electricity through your entire body. You had never felt so alive. "I hope I get to see you again soon," Ollie said, as she pulled away. "I hope so too," you replied, with a smile. As Ollie disappeared into the hotel, you couldn't help but feel like your life had changed forever. You had met the girl of your dreams, and you knew that you would do anything to be with her again.